My spouse, Jonathan, abruptly recommended that I return to my parents' home, even though they were already living with us, and I was shocked by this. I was taken aback by his unexpected revelation, and yet he appeared to think he was acting quite rationally. "Do you have a problem with that?" he questioned plainly. "Avoid arguing with me. If you have a divorce, that's okay with me." I had my complaints about his recent chilly and distant behavior. Although I had thought about getting a divorce myself, I didn't think it was appropriate for him to evict me from our house. "I'm the one paying $3,200 for our expenses," I said to myself. "Is he even aware of that?" He became irate and yelled, "Leave this house now," as I stood there in shock. "You won't be welcome here, according to my folks." Though I didn't comprehend the reason, I gave in. "Okay, I'll take all my belongings with me once I can." With a look of satisfaction, he answered, "Then do it," and turned to go. I got in touch with a store to sell my stuff. I'm Lisa, and Jonathan, who is 3 years my senior, is my roommate. Our initial casual meeting turned into a whole day spent together, thanks to mutual connections. Jonathan told me that he wanted to be a voice actor, and his rich voice really spoke to me. Calm tones have always appealed to me. We swapped numbers and made plans for further dates, so it appeared that he was attracted in the same way. Without ever holding official talks, we soon found ourselves in a relationship almost by accident. When we first met, I had just received my college degree. I began working and dating someone with a little bit more life experience when I graduated from college. Jonathan was excited. Our 3-year age difference worried my friend Laura, but I reassured her it wouldn't be a huge deal. I wasn't concerned because I actually liked Jonathan and sensed his devotion for me in return. Laura eventually warmed up, believing my assessment. It was after 2 years of dating when Jonathan brought up the topic of marriage. My parents were excited to see him and had high expectations for our future after I had told them about him, even his age. I used to wonder when he would pop the question, and it happened to be on one of his frequent visits to my flat. We were just relaxing and having fun together. It wasn't the most romantic scene, but I was okay with it because it was very much in line with Jonathan's approach. I said, "Sure, let's get married," in response to his proposal. Maybe we both had a relaxed approach to the whole event. After the proposal, we went to each other's parents' houses. I didn't feel at ease with Jonathan's family, though. When we got to his parents' house, the interior design appeared fake, despite having pieces that mimicked traditional luxury. His parents gave off the impression that they were trying too hard to be wealthy because they were wearing expensive clothing and ostentatious jewelry. We seemed to have quite diverse likes and morals. Therefore, I didn't think we would get along. It hurts that Jonathan's mother even made a derogatory comment about my appearance during the visit. The way the family of the man I wanted to marry behaved surprised me. But in the end, I had to tell myself that Jonathan was my commitment, not his family. Jonathan and I, who are getting married soon, told ourselves that I wouldn't have to spend a lot of time with his parents if I didn't particularly enjoy their company. I decided not to let this concept bother me too much. As we were getting situated into our new condo after the wedding, I saw that Jonathan was clearly obsessed with something. "Hey, who was that woman in the blue dress at our wedding?" he said abruptly one day. I wasn't able to identify the person he was referring to right away because there were other people wearing blue. Asking, "Which woman in a blue dress?" as I tried to remember. "You know, the one who gave a speech as your best friend," he clarified. "Are you talking about Laura?" It dawned on me that Laura had on a blue dress, so I responded. "Yeah, that's her," Jonathan responded, sounding a little uncomfortable. "What's wrong with Laura?" I asked, perplexed by his worry. "Oh," he said, "it's not a big deal. On my way to work the other day, I thought I saw someone who looked like her, That made me think that she had spoken at our wedding and was your best friend. Jonathan's abrupt interest in Laura and his agitated reaction puzzled me a little, but before I could ask more, he laughed it off and went back to his room. Laura called me shortly after we spoke, and she was very excited. "Listen, Lisa, my boyfriend's coming back to Canada next year," she confessed. Having known one other since they were young, Laura and her boyfriend had been together since high school. He had moved away while she was in middle school, but they kept in touch via letters, and in high school, he confessed his emotions for her. "I've always enjoyed Laura's romantic tales," I said. For a few years, her lover worked at an overseas branch, but they were still able to maintain a close and solid connection. With excitement, she wondered, "Well, do you think he might propose once he's back? And then you guys will get married?" I half laughed, partly exclaimed, "Oh, Lisa, you're always jumping to conclusions," Laura said, laughing. "Make sure I'm invited to the wedding, please. I swear I'll deliver another moving speech. Obviously, I need you to make a speech as lovely as you did at my wedding." We laughed together as we sipped our tea, relishing the trust and ease that permeated our chat. Just don't set the bar too high. Whenever one of us encountered a problem, the other two of us were always there to support the other. It was at this point that I noticed Jonathan's routine was changing. He started coming home from work later and later, and is still working late now. "Yeah, you think I shouldn't work or something?" I inquired one evening. "I'm all right, like I told you," he shot back. "It's always preferable to have more money. Just don't share your thoughts with others." Jonathan had grown aloof. He didn't even call me by name anymore. Jonathan and I were married, and he's been calling me just you, but I thought he would talk to me more often and kindly. But his remarks were frequently critical. His drinking had escalated dramatically, and his once gentle voice had gone gruff. Given that voice actors required a healthy voice, it was troubling that at times his voice even sounded hoarse. In spite of this, he avoided talking to me more and more and didn't appear interested in talking about his health. He eventually stopped paying any attention to me, even in the same room. Laura called me in the middle of these difficult circumstances. I recommended that we get together, as she indicated she needed to talk about something crucial. I was ready for a talk, given my concerns. We decided to meet at a cafe, a type of private seating area. Laura chose our booth carefully, a spot from where the counter and staff could easily be seen from the door. "You chose this room specifically?" I asked, noticing her cautious approach. "Yes," she replied. "I wanted a spot where the staff could see if there was a suspicious person outside our door." "A suspicious person? Is that related to what you wanted to discuss?" I queried, connecting the dots. Laura nodded, her expression tense. She explained that she had felt like someone was following her ever since she left her job about a month ago, and now she even felt watched on her days off. The reason she picked a room with a clear view was that she suspected the person stalking her might try to eavesdrop on our conversation. "Did you talk to the police about it?" I asked, concerned. "I tried, but since there's no direct contact, they can't do much," she sighed. "What about your boyfriend?" "Isn't he coming back in a month?" I inquired, hoping she had support. "I thought I'd discuss it with him too, but I wanted to first talk to you, someone close by," she explained. I understood her need for immediate support. Laura hadn't managed to get a clear view of her stalker, making the situation even more unnerving. She was too frightened to discern whether her stalker was a man or a woman. I decided to discreetly watch from a distance to try and identify who was following her during this time. I was struggling with my troubled relationship with Jonathan and found it hard to open up about it. But as I kept an eye on the situation, I made a shocking discovery. The person shadowing Laura was none other than my husband, Jonathan. Jonathan often claimed he had to work late, but I noticed that after his shifts, he lingered near Laura's workplace and followed her as she left. I was stunned to realize that the person causing my best friend such fear was my husband. Witnessing Jonathan tracking Laura with a creepy, unsettling grin completely changed my perception of the man I had married. The man I had fallen in love with now seemed like a stranger, and the love I thought would last forever turned cold. I knew I had to tell Laura the truth. I urged her to move immediately for her safety. With the help of her colleagues, she arranged for someone to drive her from the underground parking lot directly to her new residence. We took these precautions to ensure her safety as Laura made her escape. Jonathan's frustration intensified. Eventually, his pent-up anger erupted. "My parents are going to live here, so you need to go back to your parents' house," he demanded abruptly one day. I was taken aback by his sudden and unreasonable demand. "If you have a problem with that, then I'm fine with divorcing you," he threatened, losing his temper. Though I had my grievances and had even considered divorce before, the reality of our deteriorating relationship hit me hard at that moment. I couldn't believe that Jonathan thought he could just kick me out of our home. After all, I was the one paying $3,200 for our monthly expenses. I wondered if he even remembered that as I gave him a skeptical look, but he just snapped, "Just leave already." "My parents can't move, and if you're still here, why do I have to leave? I don't understand at all," I said. Despite my confusion and frustration, I calmly replied, "Okay, I'll take everything I bought with me." Seeing me agree, Jonathan impatiently told me to hurry up and walked away. I immediately contacted a local buyback service, and the next day they arrived at our apartment. At first, Jonathan smirked, thinking I was simply packing to leave. However, his smirk faded into shock as he watched the workers evaluate all our furniture and appliances. Once they finished, except for the items in Jonathan's room, a staff member handed me a quote. "The total value is $299,000. I quickly signed off. "Okay, sell it all." Suddenly, Jonathan snapped back to reality and grabbed my arm. "Why are you selling everything? My parents are going to live here. How can they if there's no furniture?" he asked. I shook off his grip and countered, "What do you mean?" "When we got married, you told me you were broke because you were paying for your acting classes. You asked me to handle the rent, furniture, and living expenses. I never knew you were that broke. I feel deceived. Remember the $3,200 I've been covering every month? From now on, you'll pay that, and with your parents moving in, I bet it'll be even more." Jonathan became pale when he realized how serious the situation was. He tried immediately to gather himself. "You believed that by discussing money, I would end the divorce? Who believe you to be?" Posing, he said, "I've already gotten close to a rich lady." But then I recalled how Jonathan had been keeping tabs on Laura lately. If he thought that was approaching, then he had seriously misguided perceptions. Laura hailed from a well-to-do family. Her father was a businessman, and her grandpa was a businessman as well. She never showed off her money. She did not live by her family's wealth. Instead, she was just like myself and our friends. However, it appeared that Jonathan had become aware of Laura's past and considered her a better fit, possibly due to the belief that riches could make one person more desirable than another. I was furious at the idea, but I also knew Laura would never be into Jonathan. She had been dating her high school sweetheart for years, and he was going to return to the state shortly with intentions of getting married. Jonathan was shocked to learn that Laura thought Jonathan was weird, and that their relationship wasn't close, when I explained that Laura felt nervous since someone had been following her around every day. "You're lucky I didn't call the police," I snapped back. However, I was unaware that she was dating. He hasn't been around. "She chose me over someone she doesn't know," Jonathan attempted to defend, misinterpreting the nature of their connection. "Since childhood, they have exchanged letters and communicate virtually daily. In contrast to you, who has only held part-time employment, her partner has success. He's liked by her dad, too. As I presented the facts, Jonathan appeared extremely depressed, I observed. It was obvious that his fantasies about getting close to Laura were simply that, dreams. Hard reality was beginning to sink in. He looked a little relieved as people came to grab our stuff. "You're basically all I have right now." Trying to look unfazed, he asked, "You'll always support my dream of becoming a voiceover artist, won't you?" I looked back at him sharply and said, "Sorry, I've already started the divorce process. From now on, we should speak with each other through our attorneys." Jonathan clung to me, maybe thinking I still had feelings for him. "Avoid saying that." He begged, "Haven't we been getting along all this while? Getting along? You've been aloof from my closest friend Laura ever since you found out she's affluent, and shortly after our wedding, you started hanging out with her." That's when I understood I had erred, I went on. Jonathan started sobbing. Though he was older, I found his mischievous sobbing much less endearing. I could no longer stand him in my presence. "Enough," I said angrily. "Additionally, I've told your uncle about the divorce. You are aware of his toughness. He's determined that you will work for him. Thus, I can no longer encourage your aspirations to become a voice actor. As it is, you hardly ever practice. Maybe it's time to face facts and move on from Laura, or else I'll contact the cops." I turned away after saying my last words, vowing never to look back. I would remain with my parents for the time being, but if I found a good place, I would think about moving closer to my place of employment. Jonathan, meantime, fulfilled the prediction and went to work for his uncle. His parents, who were all employed by the uncle, moved in with him as well. They anticipated being financially dependent on him following his marriage to Laura. It seemed that taking advantage of others ran in the family. I was relieved to get out of that hazardous situation. Although age wasn't a big deal, I promised to be pickier about who I dated in the future. Happier news. Laura invited me to her wedding after we resolved our differences with Jonathan. She introduced me to her boyfriend of several years, and I sincerely hoped they were happy.